everyone, I'm Alex, and I'm here to do a speech for you guys. So, everyone knows there are all sorts of careers available now. We have some people here who are baristas, some who work with computers, others who work with video games and so on. But there are certain jobs that have been around for forever that still aren't considered legal or appropriate manners of creating income. I'm sorry. One of those is prostitution, which has been around, as most people know, since the dawn of time. It's been around for as long as we have had society. We had it back in the early 1900s, we had it in the 1800s. There are records of it dating back to the Middle Ages. Now, for as long as it's been around, it's been frowned upon by nearly everyone in society, because society has needed a group of people to frown upon. Now, some people speculate that now the prostitution argument in favor of legalizing it has become so incensed now that we have achieved actualization and progress in nearly every other aspect of society that now a career move that's in demand, sex sells, people want it, there's demand for it, or we would not have sex workers, why it is still stigmatized to this day. People say we need to keep it stigmatized because people need a group to be marginalized, that we need one group to blame for problems, that we need one group to frown upon. And now it's been argued since with the progress made in gay marriage, equal rights, that it's not considered socially acceptable, in a manner of speaking, to marginalize that group anymore. That being said, the only real group that people find it acceptable to shun are the sex workers, both those who work in pornography and those who do street corner work. Now, the interesting thing is, it's been shown even by the International AIDS Conference that were prostitution to be legalized, it would actually result in a decrease in HIV infections and other sexually transmitted diseases. It's theorized that the reason for this is, as it is an illegal activity everywhere in this country aside from Nevada, fun fact, they believe that since people are usually rushing to get this transaction over with, that there's less time taken to discuss methods of protection, any current disease status, and so on. Were it to be legalized, and it were to take place in a more controlled setting, they would have time to discuss disease settings, they would have time to discuss methods of protection, barrier methods, chemical methods, etc., and it would essentially have the HIV infections and therefore decrease the amount of people who later on will have AIDS. It's also been pointed out that they've done surveys over people who've taken part in sex work, people who have admitted to buying sex. They did this back in 1911. They cultivated statistical evidence from then, and they compared it to something we have from 2007. Street prostitutes back in 1911 would make about $25 per trick or sexual activity, whereas back in 2007 it was $18. Also, street prostitutes with a percentage of shop work income was 385 in 1911 and 144 in 2007. Another interesting thing is, even though the sex work demand has increased, the percentage of men who actually admit that they have paid for sex dropped from 69% in 1911 to just 15% in 2007. Whether this is because it's been seen as more shameful to admit to that than it was back then, or just more men are willing to lie about it, it's not clear, but that was the evidence gathered. Now, another aspect of legalized prostitution is, if you watch any crime TV shows or the news, most victims that you see of violent crimes tend to be sex workers. On Law and Order, you see it's the prostitutes who get attacked, or on CSI, it's the dead streetwalker that you find. Legalizing prostitution would be a method for the police to cut back on this now, I guess, clean-up method of dealing with the crimes after they've taken place, as opposed to having the activity be legalized. Therefore, there would be laws and regulation in place to protect the people who participate in this work and lessen the chances of them being attacked by any number of people, and this would actually save a substantial amount of money than the police rushing around and trying to gather evidence and basically clean up after the fact. It would save a massive amount of money, and it would cut back on people being victimized simply because of the job career that they've chosen. Now, there's really not much to be said in the government of people making any movements towards legalizing prostitution. It's not a savory topic. Most people, with the other issues that we have going on today, they don't want to talk about it. But I'd like to think that after discussing it and bringing it to light to people in our generation, and having it be something that's on our minds and discussed, that people should not be criminalized and penalized for something they do for a living, I think that's something we should all take time to think about. Thank you for listening.